Take a look at what's on your screen right now. In your eyes, does this look like it was animated with AI? If you answered yes, I'm not surprised. That's what I think too. The wild part? The creators of the show have bloody well admitted it. The website Cartoon Brew wrote this article with the headline, "Iconic children's show Pocoyo has a new owner and a new AI-powered production pipeline." Now, there's a tongue twister I never want to say again. The owners are the animation studio Animage, who, on their YouTube channel, describe themselves as AI-driven. The phrase AI propaganda has never been this relevant. Fans are understandably furious, with one writing, "Pocoyo, not my childhood." Another said, "Let me guess, money beats ethics." Just as AI beats humans, apparently. Pocoyo is even releasing videos on their YouTube channel titled Pocoyo Chat GPT. Let's use technology. This shows that the iconic brand really is all in on AI. I wonder, is the video praising the glory of AI, even showing how kids can use it in their daily lives? We'll come to that Pocoyo ChatGPT video later. It's genuinely absolutely fascinating. But in the meantime, the Pocoyo YouTube channel recently did a 78-hour live stream about AI. No, I did not misspeak. I really said 78 hours. I'm not joking. It's no longer available to view, but it is indeed true. AI is going crazy. Science and Technology with Pocoyo ran for 78 hours, 12 minutes and 35 seconds, which is equivalent to almost 3.5 days of Pocoyo talking about AI. Think about that for a second. 78 hours. Quick reminder to hit subscribe if you're enjoying the video so far. Thank you. That's longer than the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy. Extended editions played back to back 10 times over. What was even in that stream? Did Pocoyo explain neural networks? Did he teach 3-year-olds about machine learning? Or was it just 78 hours of AI is good, AI is your friend on a loop? After all, you can't spell brainwashing without AI. Though, to be fair, you also can't spell paid without it, which is probably why they're so keen. This person agrees, writing, "They're training children on AI so they can be easily controlled. The term evil doesn't even come close to these companies." That might seem like an over-the-top reaction, but I think we all need to try and understand the animation climate that we're living in. Koopymations, a genuinely brilliant, creative and innovative animator, recently posted a video titled, "I lost my job to AI." Koopymations revealed he had been replaced by an AI tool. He was forced by his boss to use AI in his job, despite the fact that it was making repeated mistakes. When he pointed out these errors, Koopymations was, you guessed it, fired.
All of a sudden, I was being required to use AI for work, like I didn't have a choice. I let them know this is a bad idea and we should be really careful about trusting an AI to handle all the sensitive jobs, but I guess that's where I messed up. Immediately, they told me that I was being unsupportive of innovation. I stopped getting called into meetings about the AI, and eventually, I got called in for one more meeting. I got told they were moving in a new direction. They appreciated my work and they wished me the best.
Go show some support to Koopymations, by the way. Because if pointing out the robot is rubbish gets you the sack, then we've officially entered Twilight Zone territory. Except the Twilight Zone had better writing. Yes, welcome to 2025, the shamelessly AI era of children's television. Smash like if hearing AI-powered Pocoyo made you feel personally attacked by your own childhood. Yes, 2025 is the year your childhood gets screwed up into a little ball and then flushed mercilessly down the toilet. Or so it seems. As ever with YouTube and kids animation, there's more to this one than meets the eye. But hold on. Before we go any further down that rabbit hole, let's back up. Who is Pocoyo? Pocoyo, who first appeared on TV 20 years ago, way back in 2005, is a cheerful little boy in blue. He explores a bright, simple world with curiosity and a sense of play. Over the late 2000s and into the 2010s, his fun, gentle stories and friendly narrator, hello Stephen Fry, turned him into a comforting companion for young viewers everywhere, becoming woven into their bedtime routines, daily TV schedules, and early memories. To an entire generation, Pocoyo represents warmth, imagination, and the feeling of discovering the world for the very first time. So, when the studio Animage bought the rights to Pocoyo and subsequently announced that they had a new AI-powered production pipeline, fans were absolutely outraged. Understandably so. I mean, it's like finding out that your childhood teddy bear was purchased by a hedge fund. Just depressing all round. Here are some of the comments. There should be a new Dante's Inferno update featuring a new level of hell for these people. The lowest level, beyond the digested traitors. Seeing Pocoyo, one of my favourite childhood shows, using AI makes me feel betrayed. Today, we mourn the loss of Pocoyo, a moment of silence for the legend and his friends. At the time, it seemed like one of the original creators of Pocoyo, Mr. Kasi, took that criticism to heart. Mr. Kasi gave a super interesting presentation in which he showcased Pocoyo's upcoming 5th season. Yep, it's the one that uses AI. As the article put it, in front of an audience of industry peers, Garcia unveiled the first details of the show's long-awaited 5th season and shared how he's reimagining his 20-year creation for a new generation of viewers. He was conspicuously quiet on AI, however. These executives, they know which way the wind is blowing. That's why they don't mention AI. They're still gonna use it, mind you, just in secret. It's the corporate equivalent of ordering a salad at lunch, then demolishing a Big Mac in the car on your way home. The talk itself was not a tech demo or production pipeline talk, but something more personal. A reflection on the artistic DNA that made Pocoyo timeless and how to evolve it without losing its soul. The man that sold his character to a company that uses AI to animate lectures us about the character not losing its soul? Dude, it's beyond parody! And despite Animage promoting AI publicly, Garcia's talk positioned the show as deeply artist-led and craft-focused, emphasizing story, visual experimentation, and character authenticity, with no reference to machine learning or automation. All of this shows that even the studio understood how radioactive AI had become in the mind of viewers. People are worried that AI feels cheap, that it replaces real artists, and that it drains the personality out of the shows they grew up with. So, when one of Pocoyo's creators avoided the topic completely, it sent a clear signal that they knew the perception problem was real and that fans were not ready to accept AI as part of its creative process. Personally, I think that the creator of Pocoyo should have spoken up about the AI use. And this may sound crazy to you, but I'll say it anyway. It's because the way that Pocoyo uses AI is nowhere near as bad as you think it is. Yes, if you look into how Pocoyo actually uses AI, it's nowhere near as bad as you imagine. When you do imagine an animation company using AI, you probably think of it in terms of what we see on TikTok and YouTube Shorts and Sora 2. Somebody puts it in a prompt, and about 30 seconds later, some trashy, glitchy animation is spat out and then force-fed into our feeds. The term AI slop, after all, exists for a reason. The reality, however, is completely different, and I think it's better that we hear from an actual animator working for Animage. We can then see with our own eyes how they actually use AI. And spoiler alert, there's no prompting involved.
Hello, my name is Luca, and I'm a storyboard artist. For over 6 years, I've waited weeks to see my drawings and ideas come to life in 3D animation. But that's about to change. Let me introduce you to Animage Sketch to Motion. This AI tool turns sketches into 3D poses with just one click. For us creators, this is a game changer. Now we can bring our ideas to life faster than ever. Let's see it in action.
What he's using here is Sketch to Motion, an internal tool Animage built to turn loose drawings into fully animated 3D shots. Instead of generating random scenes from a prompt, it takes the animator's own sketches and translates them directly into motion. The idea is to clear away the slow, technical steps that usually bog down production so that artists can spend more time shaping the story and the performance. It is meant to speed up the parts of the job that feel like busy work while leaving the creative decisions to the humans. They're not just relying on Sketch to Motion either. They're using other AI tools too, which, on the face of it at least, seem to be empowering the artist. Yes, the studio also uses something called motion in-betweening, which generates the in-between frames that connect key poses. Instead of letting a model invent movement on its own, it fills in the gaps created by the animator, so the style and personality of the characters stay intact. It speeds up one of the most repetitive parts of the job, while still preserving the intent behind every pose. According to the Animatch animators, at least, it has been a welcome addition to their workflow. As this viewer says, the approach seems to be a real time and money saver that feels like a game changer. And this is the key. This is AI used to lighten the load, not to replace the actual humans doing the work. In other words, it's a million miles from Sora 2 or any of the other AI slop that we've had the misfortune to witness. So is this use of AI actually a bad thing? If it is, what part of it crosses the line? Because, honestly, I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about this myself. I keep asking myself where the harm is supposed to be. Is it the tech itself, or the fear of what it might replace in the future? Or is it simply that seeing childhood characters tied to AI hits an emotional nerve we were not prepared for? Because the more I look at it, the harder it is to pin down exactly what feels wrong. It's like when your nan gets an iPhone 17 Pro. Technically progress, but something about it just feels off. I think, at the very least, it's pretty clear that AI is not being used the way most people assume when they hear a studio is experimenting with AI. At least in proper animation pipelines, it really is AI assisted, not AI led. And that becomes even more obvious when you look at the writers and animators actually making Pocoyo Season 5. The crew talks about the show with real enthusiasm. These are real artists, not a faceless generator. So yes, Pocoyo might look a bit AI touched because these tools are part of the workflow, but calling it AI slop feels off. That question mark in the thumbnail was there for suspense, and the answer is no. I don't think Pocoyo is slop. So in that case, why use AI at all? Animatch would argue that it cuts down the dull, repetitive parts of the animation. In their eyes, it therefore lets the team spend more time on creative work. And just as important is what AI does not do. It is not writing scripts, not replacing artists, or not deciding who Pocoyo is as a character. Perhaps a simple way to picture it is to think of a flipbook, where the animator decides the first and last poses, and the tool helps fill in the pages between them. The artist still decides the movement, the emotion, and whether it looks right. So Pocoyo seems safe for now, and the work behind it at least seems genuinely human. Even the Pocoyo ChatGPT video, when you actually watch it, it's not really about AI at all. The technology shown within it is simple and familiar, like phones and cameras, and is only used to set up gentle lessons about sharing, patience, and asking permission. Nothing in the episode involves real-world risks or realistic apps, and everything stays soft, playful, and age-appropriate. For a show made for very young children, the goal is to not teach tech skills, but to model polite behaviour and remind kids that screens are never as fun as playing together. Admittedly though, calling the video Pocoyo ChatGPT was just really stupid, because the content of the video doesn't really mention AI at all. It's like calling your restaurant Nuclear Waste Cafe and then having perfectly normal sandwiches. Technically honest, but just completely baffling. Having said all of this, I can't shake the thought that this use of AI could be the descent into something less comforting. It's the classic slippery slope worry, where one small change opens the door to a chain of decisions that slowly push things towards an outcome nobody wanted. And with how fast AI is moving, that fear does not feel completely out of place. Thought experiment. What if the slippery slope actually happens? Imagine a future season of a kids show where there is no behind the scenes footage of animators because there are no animators to film. The company quietly lets people go, feeds the old episodes into a model, and tells it to copy and paste the style as cheaply as possible. Remember, the computer never asks for a pay rise and never ever mentions the word union. So, for CEOs, they're at least a bazillion times better. Anyway, back to our fantastical dystopia. Stories are not written by a small team arguing over ideas in a room, but by an LLM that spits out 10 options and a manager then picks the least risky one. In that world, the tools stop being assistants and start being the main act. effect. Characters that once came from a specific artist's hand turn into a kind of averaged, smoothed out version of themselves because the model is just practicing what looks like Pocoyo rather than asking what Pocoyo would actually do. It's the difference between your mum's cooking and a Tesco meal deal. Technically both food, just one of them is completely soulless. The show would keep going, the brand would keep posting, but the human point of the view that made it so special slowly drains away, and nobody can quite say when it happened. So let me show you what that slippery slope might actually look like. Not science fiction, not Black Mirror. Just the logical progression of decisions that seem fine in isolation, but absolutely terrifying when you line them up. Here's how Pocoyo could go from AI assisted in 2025 to AI everything by 2035. Oh yes, we're doing this 1 year at a time. 2025. In the Pocoyo studio, AI is just a small helper. It fills in the dull in-between frames and tidies up tiny mistakes. The animators still decide every expression, every bounce, every silly moment. 2026. The studio lets the tools handle simple backgrounds, lip sync, and those easy little crowd shots in Pocoyo's world. Fewer beginners get hired to learn the ropes because the computer handles the simple stuff now. 2027. New tools can turn a Pocoyo script into a rough storyboard. Some artists stop drawing full sequences and instead spend their days nudging and correcting AI drafts. It's like being promoted from chef to person who tells the microwave what temperature to use. 2028. Reusable animation templates for Pocoyo appear. A tiny team can create short episodes at surprising speed. Entry-level roles begin to fade, almost without anyone noticing. 2029. Managers tell the team to try AI first for most of Pocoyo's shots. Training new artists becomes rare because there are not many juniors left to teach. 2030. For simpler Pocoyo adventures, AI writes the first draft and suggests the camera shots. A small group of writers and directors smooth out the results, but the creative team becomes smaller than ever. 2031. The tools are now trained on every past season of Pocoyo. The system copies the house style so well that only a few animators are needed to keep the look consistent. At this point, animator just means the person who presses the approve button. 2032. Voices, music, and sound effects for Pocoyo clips come from linked tools. One person can assemble a whole short episode with a handful of clicks and a few careful fixes. 2033. Quality checks and safety reviews become mostly automated. A single supervisor can approve an entire batch of Pocoyo episodes in one sitting. The job description now reads, must be able to nod convincingly and not ask awkward questions about where everyone went. 2034. Only a small group of people remain on the Pocoyo staff. They supervise, approve, and handle problems, but they barely touch the art itself. Most hands-on jobs are gone. 2035. Even the oversight is automated. One system creates a Pocoyo episode and another system checks it for safety, quality, and continuity. It goes online without a single human making a creative choice. At this point, there are no animation jobs left. Not just for Pocoyo, but anywhere. Well, congratulations, we've successfully automated childhood memories. The dystopia is now complete. Let's hope that that future never comes true. Channel members got early access to this video as a thank you from me for all of their support. For more early access and other perks, please consider hitting that join button below. I'm Snipe Snap, he's Lucky, we'll see you soon. Snipe, Snap, out.